guys? It's your boy Alex, and welcome back to the Brave Lionheart channel. Also, welcome back to another Lionheart Review Corner! Yeah, there's a lot of echo in this room, and look how high the ceiling is. You clearly can tell that there's going to be more echo in this room, or that there is more echo. Never mind. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lionheart Review Corner. I almost said the name wrong. But yeah, so these particular movies that I have been wanting to review for a while now, I originally planned them to do them back in January and stuff because, you know, they were at times when I went to go see them at different dates, and I was going to wait a couple days to do it. But I figured, you know, October was coming up, so perfect time to talk about these movies, considering that both of them are horror films in the right mind. And also, fun fact, both of them are sequel movies. And we know how those go in the horror genre. But yeah. So, if you didn't know, yes, these will be horror films that I'm going to be reviewing and whatnot. I'm just trying to do the best we can. So, let me picture the scenario for this first movie that I'm going to be talking about. Say you're a teenager, and you're basically, you know, a master thief. And you and your two other friends are basically going to rob this blind, old military veteran that basically can't really see well. Yeah, that probably would go well for your first outing. Until you realize that the said old blind veteran is pretty agile while being blind and instantly kills one of your friends, and now you're trapped inside of his house. Yeah, that particular movie was, of course, Don't Breathe, and actually one of my favorite horror films that came out. And, you know, surprisingly, it had good acting, really tense moments and all that. Then came the sequel. Yeah, there was a sequel that came out, and I briefly talked about it on my channel before. Now that it's been out for a while, it's a perfect time to talk about it and review it. Have you ever wondered what would happen if a blind veteran that took on 3 teenagers and almost impregnated one at the end of the first one actually got his own sequel? Well, that's the confusing thing about this movie. See, when I saw the trailer for Don't Breathe 2 when it came out, I was really confused on how exactly they would do a sequel. I mean, I was thinking that, that it's possible because the first movie left on a cliffhanger, but the weirdest thing about it is that, I always thought, that blonde-headed girl, again, I forgot the character name of that character in the movie, I thought she was going to come back and at least, you know, try to get revenge on him or something, and it would have been a role reversal. Well, that's not what the trailer showed us. Basically, what happened in the trailer for this movie is that it kind of felt like a prequel to the movie. I don't know. That's what me and my sister were thinking when we went with our dad to see this movie. And surprisingly, that really isn't what it was, actually. And believe me, once this review starts, you'll understand why me and my sister thought that this feels more like a prequel than a sequel to the first film. So, yeah. So, without further ado, now you're gonna see what I see. I'm sorry, that was a line from the first movie, and they brought it back in this movie, and I don't know, it felt kind of forced, but it still was good to hear that line again. But anyway, moving on. With that being said, let's start the review. So, our movie begins with basically getting introduced to the niece, daughter, granddaughter. We'll just say it's his daughter, because clearly he had another daughter, or again, like I said, this could have been a prequel to the first movie, so you know, we really don't know. But anyway, moving on from that, we open up on her basically running from the psycho dog that the crazy blind old veteran has. Or actually, I probably will have to remember his name. I think it's Nathaniel. I might be wrong. I know the actor's name, just not the character name, because I don't think they ever said his name in the actual movie. I mean, I think they did in this one, but, you know. Anyway, she's being chased by his, psycho dog. But as it turns out, it was all a training exercise from her dad, who is kind of harsh about it in this movie. Yeah, literally, he's just really kind of harsh, as he basically tells her, no, you can't really go, with your friend to go check out stuff in the city because you failed your test, so you gotta stay here and train for more of it. Yeah, he's basically training her and teaching her how to survive like he did in the war. Kind of an awkward thing to do for your daughter, but hey, it's all he knew after the war and pretty much after how he got blind. So, yeah. Anyway, the friend that she's supposed to go with today is Hernandez. I hope I pronounced that name right. Again, not good with pronouncing names. And you know what? We'll call his daughter Maddie. We'll call her Maddie because her actress name is Madeline. So we'll call her Maddie, even though I don't remember her actual name, or it would be hard to pronounce it again because they shouted it in the movie a lot. Because loud shouting, you can never understand what names are said and what is said. But anyway, so blind old veteran, or Nathaniel. We'll call him that. I'll have to look up the name after this part while I'm editing. So, moving on from that, he lets her go to the city, and she kind of enjoys her life, actually kind of checking out some kids, and having her own little dream thing where she wants to, oh, sorry, I had a burp there for a second, where she basically wants to hang out with them. Though, again, it's her dream, and she decides, yeah, I've had enough, I'm going to go back home. Not before running into a very creepy guy in the women's bathroom. That must have been an awkward scene to film, honestly. Could you imagine, though, during that filming if there were actual people in there and how awkward it would have been? Yeah, pretty awkward. So, after leaving him, things you think are pretty normal by now. Sadly not, because later that night, after a very hard argument that the two of them have, things don't go too well for Hernandez, as she gets killed well, not really off screen. You can kind of see her getting killed with a very, very hard-hitting hammer. Yeah, this is also something I neglected to mention in this movie. It's freaking bloody. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's brutal. Like, very, very brutal. But anyway, so yeah, those people that killed Hernandez, they decide to go to the old man's house and, well, kind of almost kidnap Maddie. But the old man gets the upper hand and basically just, almost kills all of them. I mean, he did manage to catch one of them in his garage and super glue his mouth shut. Yeah, not even kidding you there. He used super glue to shut his mouth, where the others basically had to sort of cut it open, and it was just kind of hard to watch, honestly. So yeah, things go pretty bad. He gets into a fight with a really big burly guy that traps Maddie inside a little red locker thing and fills it up with water that is also having a little electrical outlet cut and dangling over it. So, yeah, it's a pretty tense scene to watch, honestly. Especially since you're thinking, oh, is she going to make it out? Is she going to make it out alive? And surprisingly, she barely does, though. It's not really until things go pretty bad for the old man that they end up in the green room, and he gets knocked out, while the others take Maddie away from him. Yeah. Really, really sad. Oh, did I also neglect to mention that these guys also have a dog of their own? And if you're probably wondering, well, why wasn't his psycho dog there to protect both of them? I'll tell you why. 'Cause he's dead. Yeah. Well, we had it's an off-screen kill, so thankful for that it's not an on-screen dog massacre. But yeah, that dog dies. By the way, the dog's name is Shadow in this movie. And I think it's also was his name in the first movie. It wasn't ever mentioned, so we finally get to know what the dog's name is. And it's a cool name. For a psycho dog that lives with a blind old veteran that is super strong. Not sure how he wasn't able to take out all of these guys, but hey, old man strength is not good in a crowd of people. Now, sadly, the dog that was with the guys that kidnapped Maddie doesn't have a name. Although Norman does save him. And yes, I did look it up again while I was editing through this. It is Norman. So, yeah, the name Nathaniel gave him was wrong, but yeah. Now I remember his name is Norman. Again, would have been helpful to know if that was the name that we heard in the first movie, though I had to look up the casting list just to remember his name. Yeah. Speaking of which, though, Norman does go back to save the dog after the psychopaths basically burn his house down. Though he doesn't keep the dog, he just basically tells it to go home. That's when he realizes that maybe he could actually go home and help him figure out where they're hiding Maddie and keeping her at. Thankfully, it's not too hard to look for because they're literally hiding out in a giant, old, abandoned hotel. And it's not like, you know, just a big hotel. It's a big hotel that's fancy. Yeah, it's super, super fancy. Now, you're probably wondering and thinking, why is it that this guy kidnapped this little girl from this old man? Well, as it turns out, as sort of a weird twist that they were trying to go for, this guy turned out to be Maddie's father. Yeah, her father. Basically, there was a whole thing also at the beginning that it showed, or a part of it in the movie that showed that Maddie was kidnapped by the old man. Not by her parents, though, because I'm already going to, spoil it for you if you guys have not watched this movie. Yeah, he's not her dad, and this motherly figure character, this woman that he shows to her, claiming to be her mother, is not her mother. Also, there's a whole subplot going around about this psycho surgeon that escaped custody, and basically where he's a surgeon that takes organs out and sells them to the black market. Yeah, you can kind of put two and two together why they kidnapped Maddie. Basically, they need Maddie to have her organs, or her kidney, transplanted into this woman that she meets because she's sick. And kind of a drug addict. Yeah. Surprisingly. So, meanwhile, Norman is gearing up to go get his daughter back from these psycho people. Also, there is the fact that, the guy that kidnapped Maddie tells her about Norman. Surprisingly, yeah. So, yeah, she's kind of awkward seeing that, she's been living with a complete psychopath. And boy, do we know what kind of psychopath he was from the first movie. But anyway, yeah, he gears up to go to the hotel, surprisingly sneaks in, and takes the power out for them. Sadly not saying that best line, but, Anyway, moving on from that, basically, things don't go too well for this guy's men. And again, I forgot a lot of these character names, so it's going to be hard to remember. You guys can let me know in the comments section which character names I forgot to mention for these guys that kidnapped the little girl. Moving on. And after he's killed a bunch of people in the darkness, it actually leads to probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, which, again, I mentioned was shown in the trailer, and it was a really cool, well-done shot. So basically, the guys are going into this room, and he's laying down on the ground, faking that he's dead, but as soon as they step into the water, because part of the room is flooded, as soon as they step in it, the ripple of the water literally lands to his fingers, and he's able to get up, know exactly where all of them are standing, and shoots all of them down. Well, all of them down. Except for one. But this guy turns out to be chill and tells him where Maddie is being taken and what's going to happen to her. Yeah, he's a chill guy that didn't want to see a little girl get killed, so props to him for being a chill guy. Who's not chill, though, is the guy that kidnapped her, because it leads into a big fight with him and Norman, and it pretty much ends up with Norman literally taking the guy's head and stabbing his thumbs through his eyes. Yeah. Did I mention this movie was bloody? So, you're probably thinking after, killing the sick girl and the psycho that kidnapped the little girl, you think it's happy ending for everyone. Sadly not, because Norman, now realizing somehow that Maddie found out about him, from seeing all that, he tells her to leave her. Or, to leave him, sorry, rewind. He tells her to leave him. So, sorry about that. So, moving on from that, you're thinking, well, what's left for Maddie? Well, remember those kids that she met? Turns out it was from a homeschool shelter place that she wanted to go and live at and live a normal life, without training and everything and all that. And that's where our movie ends. With her going there, possibly making some new friends, and possibly learning her skills more and more, and probably taking out the school bullies whenever she can. I can just imagine her, stringing the school bully up and just, torturing him for hours. Yeah, that old man messed with her mind. Hard. Well, anyway, there you go, guys. That was my review on Don't Breathe 2. And despite it not really following up with the first movie, letting us know what happened to that blonde-headed girl, again, forgot her character name and her actress name, and her sister, basically, whatever happened to them for the resolution for that. I mean, I know they went to go to the place that they wanted to go to at the end of the first movie, and then they saw that news broadcast saying he was alive. I still actually kind of like this movie. Yeah, surprisingly, I do like this. Though, again, I don't feel like it feels more like a sequel. It feels just like a prequel to, when he had his daughter, because there was that whole story about him having a daughter, and this character that's with him feels kind of like a daughter. Again, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section down below if any of you have watched this movie and I might be wrong on that. I don't know, maybe it's his granddaughter or niece. I haven't really still figured that out because it's been a while since I've watched this. But yeah, I like this movie. If I could go over a few bad things in the movie, I could. But there really isn't that much bad to say about this movie. I'm going to get a lot of the good stuff out of the way right off the bat. And I don't actually have anything bad to say about this movie. Alright, but yeah, moving on from that, all the good stuff that is in the movie, the acting is good, the pacing's really well done. I think the best part about this is just, how it's a little bit more tense than the first movie, but yeah. I will give it to the first movie. It had way more tense scenes than this. This one had a few good ones that were still really tense. Like I said, the acting's good. Stephen Lang does an amazing job as this blind veteran character once again. In both movies, he does an amazing job at this. The extras, they could do a little bit better with, not going too over the top with their acting, but, the practical effects are pretty good. The fire stuff is pretty good, even though some of it I feel like might have been CG a little bit more. Again, CG is just going to take over the world one day. But yeah, a lot of the practical effects were good. The kills in this movie were 10 times more amazing than the first movie, I'll tell you that. They were even 10 times bloodier than the first movie, which is really crazy. So yeah, what do I give Don't Breathe 2? I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Definitely a must-see to watch, even though it doesn't really follow up with the first film. Again, could totally be wrong that this ends up actually is a sequel to the first movie, and it just, again, in my mind, it feels more like a prequel to something that happened in his past life, so that's why he's kind of crazy and all that, but, we'll just move on for that, and we'll just say it's a sequel. So, yeah. Anyways, with that being said, thank you all for watching this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell to never miss a new video. With that being said, I'll see all you awesome guys and gals later. Bye-bye!